Today we're going to learn to round to the nearest 10. We're going to go over CCS Math Content Standard for the 3rd grade, which is using place value understanding to round whole numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. What you will learn to round up and down to the nearest 10, how to use a number line to evidence your answer, and also how to use base 10 blocks to evidence your answer. These will help with your conceptual understanding. How to begin. Identify the closest tens to your number by counting up to the closest 10 and down to the closest 10 from your number. These will be the ends of our number line, and we'll need to decide if we want to round up or down to one of these numbers. For example, if I want to round 13 to the nearest 10, I'm going to count down from 13, 13, 12, 11, 10, where I find my first 10, and then count up from 13, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to find the next 10. Our closest tens are 10 and 20. Next, we're going to identify the midpoint between our closest tens. The midpoint is always going to have a 5 in the ones place. So if you look at our number line here, you can see that there's only one number that has a 5 in the ones place in between 10 and 20, and that number is 15. If we want to be more accurate and count the numbers in between, we can further evidence our reason for choosing 15, since we can see that there are 4 numbers in between 10 and 15 and 4 numbers in between 15 and 20. So 15 is our midpoint. Next, we're going to count to the closest tens to find which number 13 is closest to. For example, I can start with 13 and then count down 12, 11, 10. I can do this on my fingers, which leads me to the answer of 3, or I can also count the lines on the number line to get the same answer. When I count up to 20, I'll find that 13 is 7 away from 20, either using my fingers or using the number line here. So we're actually closest to the number 10. Number 4. Round to the closest number. We found we're closest to 10, and so that's all our answer is. That's it, you're basically done. Now, if you want a shortcut, maybe this is a lot of work and for you it's too easy, here's what you can do. If the number is below the midpoint, you're going to round down. If the number is above or at the midpoint, you'll round up. If we use our number 13, we can clearly see on the number line that it's below our midpoint, which proves our answer is going to be rounded down to 10. All of the numbers in purple are below the midpoint, so you can see that if my example was to round 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14 to the nearest 10, the answer will always be 10. If you look at the blue numbers, 15 through 20 are all going to be rounded up to 20 since they start at the midpoint and go up to the bigger number. We're going to round up there. So our answer would actually be 20 for numbers 15 through 20. Another shortcut that you can do is draw only the closest tens, the midpoint, and your number on the number line. You can easily see that 13 is before the midpoint and that we're going to round our answer down to 10. You need to make sure that you draw an accurate number line, either using a computer program or writing it on your paper. You need to be accurate, neat, and organized because it is possible to make mistakes when you aren't writing in all of the numbers. You can also use base 10 blocks to illustrate your answer. If you look in the middle where the arrow is, you can see the number 13. We have a 10 block and then we have 3 1 blocks, making 13. To get to 10, we need to take 3 of those blocks away. If we want to get to 20, we have to add 7 more blocks. Since 10 is 3 blocks away from 13 and 20 is 7 blocks away from 13, 13 is closer to 10 and we will round down to 10. When it comes to your group work, there are 2 problem sets. You can start with problem set 1. For each of the problem sets, you have the same directions. You're going to round to the nearest 10, but you need to use a number line or base 10 blocks to prove your answer. You can use physical blocks and you can draw a number line out on your paper, or you can use the websites below to create a number line and to use base 10 blocks online. Don't forget to screenshot or print out your answers so that way you can turn those in with your paper. Each problem is worth 2 points. You get 1 point for finding the correct answer and 1 point for proving your answer via the number line or the base 10 blocks or just using math operations, however you're able to prove your answer. If you finish problem set 1, please go on to problem set 2. It's a little bit more difficult, but you can work with your group mates to figure it out. Your next task for group work is an open-ended question. What numbers round to 40? Again, you're going to use base 10 blocks or a number line or some kind of math operations to find the answer. But you're also going to write a sentence describing how you got your answer or give an oral response in front of the class. There's more than one answer to this problem. So try to find as many answers as you can and make sure you have enough answers so that each student in your group can write down a sentence or say something during your oral presentation. When you're finished with the group work, you have an exit ticket that you'll work on individually. Here we have a number line that you're going to use to prove your answer. We're going to round 46 to the nearest 10. So you can use this number line here. You can draw on it and screenshot it to turn it in, or you can go back to the number line website that we used earlier and create your own number line and find the answer. I hope you enjoyed learning about how to round to the nearest 10.